Why did I do this to myself? There are 7 beauty mistakes that I've made in the past that I really regret deeply. And just in case you see this, don't be scared. I had a little accident when I was at the doctor's and had an IV drip. So nothing to worry about, this is a healing process. Mistake number 1. Once upon a time, I had extremely long fake eyelashes and eyelash extensions. As many of you are familiar with my grooming routine, I love eyelash extensions and I have been using them since I think I was 25. And that is because my own natural lashes are quite short and I have quite big eyes. So for me, it was a perfect solution to get eyelash extensions and it really did change my life for the better. However, a very common mistake when you get into the murky waters of eyelash extensions, and false eyelashes too, by the way, is that you might go a little bit blind on the length of the eyelashes. And that's exactly what I did myself. So back in the days, I would have eyelashes that were about 15 to 16 millimeter long. And this is very long if you are someone who is familiar with eyelash extensions. Today, my length is usually maximum 8 millimeter. So half the size. And I actually get loads of compliments in my daily life today how natural my eyelash extensions look, because that is my goal today. But back then, I just wanted more, I wanted them thick, I wanted them long. They were so long, they literally could poke someone's eyes if I stand too close. You know, I had the situation on the subway once. No, actually, I had the situation I think more than once, but it was in particular this occasion on the subway. So I was sitting at a seat where, you know, you have someone else sitting in front of you, and there was this Italian couple, and they were speaking in Italian to each other. And because we weren't in Italy, they didn't think that I would understand Italian, but I did because I studied Italian. So they started talking about my eyelashes, and they were telling each other like, I mean, doesn't she realize how it looks like? Look how long they are. It looks ridiculous. I wish someone could tell her this. And you know, of course, in that moment it did hurt hearing that. I actually did respond to them and I said, you know, I do understand Italian. Oh, they got so shocked. But I had to, because, you know, I was a little bit defensive at that point. But then I took that information and I was processing it back home. And I could have just slammed it off as, you know, these people are just being mean. Maybe there is something to it. So the lesson I learned from this is that actually negative feedback can sometimes be constructive. You just need to really be aware and often check the source. If the source is objective, if there are multiple sources, then you might reconsider what you are doing with your grooming. So after a while, I started experimenting with shorter eyelashes. And it was only once I really cut down on the length when I started seeing the reality from a different perspective. Yes, I looked crazy. And I'm so happy I corrected it, because now I just look so much more natural than before. Mistake number 2. A lot of you ladies ask me from time to time, Anna, why are you not wearing earrings? I do actually wear earrings sometimes, you can see it in my videos, but they're usually quite big and covering. Now there's a reason for that, and that is because I have a hole in my ear, I think it's actually on this ear, that is not really symmetrical on the ear globe, meaning that it should be in the middle, you know, here, but it's not. It's a little bit on the side. And that was a mistake from my past, because I was a late bloomer for when it comes to piercing your ears. My parents didn't do that for me as a child, so I went out and did it myself sometime when I was a teenager. And you know, when you are a teenager, you might not always be the sharpest tool in the box. I certainly wasn't. I mean, I made so many mistakes, even as a teenager. So I decided one day, I want to pierce my ears. It's time, it's crazy that I don't have any holes. So I just went to some random place, I think it was some random hairdresser at the tube station where I happened to be at. Just walked in, I hadn't researched them. I just walked in and said, hey, I see you have a cheap price on piercing your ears. I want to do it. And I just did it, and voila, my ears are pierced. However, now I have to suffer with the fact that one of the holes are asymmetrical, and it does look funny when I wear certain earrings, or actually most earrings. So for this reason, I can't wear earrings right now. I am a little bit worried that I have messed up my ear forever. But I am planning on going to a piercing studio as soon as I stop procrastinating around it, because I'm kind of fearful about this. I'm worried that I'm gonna mess up my ear even more. I'm worried that it's not gonna work. And I'm gonna re-pierce it and see whether I can make it work. There is no guarantee, but I will try. So this is the reason to why I don't wear earrings, because it will look asymmetrical when I do. So oftentimes I wear clip-on earrings and bigger ones so that they cover, you know, the hole, because it is a bit on the side. And that's it, ladies. Lesson learned from this is that when you go and do beauty treatments, especially treatments that are very permanent and invasive, always have to research the place. You always have to make sure you go to some professional that is really experienced and you have seen their work. I wasn't picky and I regret it tremendously. Always be picky, ladies, with the professionals that touch your face or head or ear. Okay, the whole body. By the way, at the very end, I'm actually gonna save the most embarrassing mistake for last, so make sure you stay until the end. Mistake number 3. Now, I am a little bit embarrassed to admit that I have a very recent mistake. Actually, I'm currently sorting this mistake out. Okay, let me come clean with you. So, recently, I messed up with my hair color and I regret it deeply. So as you know, ladies, I live in Geneva in Switzerland. Here we speak French. I'm not a native French speaker. And of course, there is a problem sometimes that language can be a bit problematic if you're not perfectly fluent in it. So what happened is that some time ago, I went to the hairdresser here and I wanted to go lighter. I don't know why. I guess I was kind of experimenting. The problem is, don't experiment when you are not with your regular hairdresser or able to perfectly express yourself. Because what happened is that this hairdresser, we were communicating to each other and I told her what I wanted. She told me what she was gonna do. I said, okay, yeah, sure, you know, and I kind of knew within myself that I think I'm understanding fully. I think it sounds right. Okay? But deep down, I wasn't really understanding her 100%. I kinda did, but kinda didn't as well. But I went ahead because usually I give trust to people who are professionals. I always believe that they know what they're doing. If they're, you know, recommended to me, if they're good. But even then, you have to be careful. And she did cross-check with me. Are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes, because I was stupid. Really, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, as I'm not a professional hairdresser, I can't really technically explain in a way that some of you ladies might be able to understand what happened, but basically I think she bleached my hair or something and it turned orange, and she said, don't worry about it, it's normal because we're gonna color on top of it to get that color that you want. Fair enough, I trust her, let's go. What happened was that my hair now has an orange undertone, and it's not something that seems to be going away. No matter how many corrections I've been to, I've tried different hair professionals now, it just seems like it's there permanently. And this is something that is driving me mad because I have always had a very cool undertone in my hair because it really goes well with my cool undertone in my skin, or my kind of neutral cool undertone. However, the warm undertone does not go well with my skin, with my complexion, and it's driving me mad that I have this now. It has become better, and I'm currently having quite dark roots on purpose because we're still in process of trying to fix it. What can I say? Lesson learned, ladies. So if you're seeing me with funny hair color for the next year or so, this is the reason, unfortunately. But you know, ladies, I think hair color is something that most of us mess up with at some point. And actually, number 4 is another hair color mistake that I've made in the past. And that was when I decided to go dark. So I've always been medium blonde in my life. And then after a relationship ended, I decided that I want to change, I want to look different. You know how we all have a little bit of an existential crisis after a breakup? That's exactly what happened to me. And I decided to go dark. But then I went really dark. Literally, my hair was colored black. And I'm sure some of you will like it. But I did regret it because, first of all, it didn't really suit me. It made me look older, and I had to wear a lot of heavy makeup to compensate for the fact that otherwise I looked so pale. But the worst is that once I realized that, okay, you know, that was just a phase, it's time for me to go back to my real hair color, that was a big pain. To go from black to blonde again, especially when you have fine hair and need to be very careful on how you treat your hair because it breaks otherwise. That was such a long process that literally took me years. So before you jump on the ship of going dark when you're blonde, and especially if you have fine hair, really be careful, ladies. Learn from my mistake. Mistake number 5. Actually, the dark hair leads me into this mistake because it was at the same time that I was in the phase of heavy makeup, like very heavy. So of course I was compensating for my dark hair because when you are dark hair, you're naturally very light. You look pale, you look like a ghost. So I had to put so much eye makeup, so much bronzer, so much eyebrows, so much of everything to feel like there is some form of harmony going on here. But on top of that, I also had quite bad skin during that time. So I developed adult acne that I wasn't getting rid of, and I was wearing this thick foundation and powder to try somehow and cover up my acne. And I think this is very common for ladies who suffer with acne. We just keep on, caking up, hoping that it will cover it up. The unfortunate truth is that it never does. And especially when you are in daylight. People see, even if there is all these great foundations on. And it's sad. And that's why I always been honest and said what helped me. And that was to take medication for acne. Now, this is a very controversial advice and many people don't support me on this. So this is not a medical advice. I'm just sharing what worked for me. Because I was suffering for years and years with adult acne and it wasn't worth it. I wish I would have sorted it out earlier, but I didn't. However, there is help to seek, even if it can be quite invasive is not the right word, but quite a heavy treatment, which might not suit everyone. But going back to this heavy makeup mistake, you know what I realized during that time? Because I actually ended up looking like I was like 40 years old. Although I was, I think, like in my 20s, early 20s, 25 maybe. Because makeup ages you tremendously. And the worst is that I was doing all the smoky eye, I was wearing thick eyeliner every single day, my long fake eyelashes. I think I was having like smoky eyes up until like almost my eyebrows. I don't know what I did. I wanted to have this massive cat eye, smoky, black eyeshadow. Crazy. But what is embarrassing to admit is that I would wear that heavy look even during daytime. Back then, I didn't think that, oh, maybe it's not appropriate. I had no clue. There was no YouTube channel like this guiding me forward. Subscribe, by the way, if you still haven't. By the way, let me know in the comments below what have been your beauty mistakes in the past and that you have learned from. Mistake number 6. Now before I share with you number 7, which is probably the most embarrassing mistake, I must tell you that number 6 also feels quite difficult for me to talk about. And I have been thinking about this for a long time. Am I gonna talk about it? Am I not? I wanted to do a whole video about this one day, but then I'm like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel really stupid, I'm not gonna lie. And the fact that it didn't happen too long ago. But also, it's still ongoing. So this situation has not been fixed. And I don't like to usually talk about things that haven't been corrected yet. However, at this point, I actually don't really care because I'm still happy with the way things are looking today, but I know I can improve it for the future. Okay, how am I gonna explain this? Let's talk about my teeth. A forever pain point, it feels like in my life. I think I have the teeth curse, to be honest. And ironic that as I'm sitting here in this video talking about my teeth journey, I happen to have a stain from my lipstick on my teeth that I didn't notice. So typical. Because what happened is that I was born, or once you lose the milky teeth, I was born with bad teeth. And this is something that I had since I was a child. So it's not something that I can correct. When I was a teenager, even my dentist said that there is not really a point for you to get braces. That's how kind of bad my teeth were. Or at least, maybe I had a bad dentist, who knows. Maybe it was fixable, but no, I'm not sure actually it was. Unfortunately, I don't have many pictures showing my teeth because it was my biggest insecurity for so many years, up until my 20s. And I never ever smiled in pictures where you could see my teeth. I don't really have many pictures. I can only show you the little that I have. When I was 20, I finally was able to take a loan and invest in porcelain crowns. As you know, getting veneers, getting crowns, Invisalign, all of those things, they cost a lot of money. So this wasn't something that I could have done earlier, unfortunately, but eventually when I was able to qualify for a loan, I jumped on the ship and I took a loan. So I had my crowns for years and years, up until 2019. And as it is quite an invasive procedure to change crowns, I decided that I wanted to wait with it until it was really necessary. And it is common that crowns is something that you change after about 10 years, maybe 15 years. Some crowns you actually don't have to change until 20 years, but it's very common because they get discolored and maybe there are some changes going on with them so that they don't, I don't know, hold the same quality as before. Come 2019, I have just started a YouTube channel. I see myself on camera all the time. I'm realizing, okay, now is definitely a good time for me to change these crowns because I'm seeing that they have become too discolored compared to how they were before. Plus, I started having an issue with them at my gum line where you could actually see the cement from the crown. So it was like a little bit of a mess, to be honest. So I had to change them. But as I was now on YouTube, I had kind of just started and my channel was taking off. I was posting videos all the time. I started getting so many subscribers. What about timing to go and do such a procedure like changing teeth? Because you're gonna be going for weeks and weeks with like really fake ugly teeth because, you know, when you are doing these things, you have to have like while your teeth are being made in the lab, you have to walk around with like these kind of fake teeth and they don't look good. So I didn't want to really do that. So what did Smarty Pants do? Me, basically. I was specifically looking for a clinic that could do this procedure as quickly as possible. And the quickest one that I found promised that I would have new teeth in 7 days. Now this is where everything started to go downhill because although I felt that I had done research on teeth and I had already experience with adding porcelain crowns, I didn't realize that it was going to be a big mistake to do something like this. And I know now afterwards, it is really important not to rush this procedure. And it's actually best for even your health to fit the teeth in a very slow process where you evaluate your whole mouth and make sure that you are not disaligning anything in your mouth. Luckily, that's not an issue that I had. Instead, my issue was that I went and I did this 7-day quick treatment. And what was a real quick fix turned out to become a nightmare for me. So I did my teeth, and in the first week of my brand new teeth, my teeth started to fall out. I couldn't believe what was happening. I started to become afraid of eating because, of course, it happened often when I was eating. And it was scary. All of a sudden, you lose your teeth. And it wasn't just one, it was several. Of course, I contacted the clinic immediately. I told them what has happened and they told me to come back and let them fix it. And this is kind of where the nightmare continued because luckily the clinic were responsible in that sense that, okay, deep down, they're not good, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and out them because I just don't want to do that. I have moved past all of that. So I came back to them and they told me that we have to remove everything, okay? And we did. A month after I had just done my teeth. And if you know about porcelain crowns, you know that it's a very invasive treatment. Same way when you put on veneers. And by the way, if you're wondering right now, but why did you put on crowns? Why didn't you do veneers? Or why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And trust me, before I ever did my first crowns, I really tried to find an easier way out. But for the state of my teeth, my natural teeth, crowns was my only option, unfortunately. So yes, I had to do this invasive treatment. So a month after I had just done my teeth, I had to go and take them all off again. And when you take porcelain crowns off, you literally have to file them down. So they filed everything down. So then I got these teeth, which I'm okay with now. They're not falling out thank goodness. But what happened after that is that I became incredibly sensitive in my mouth and in my teeth, because obviously my teeth have now been under a tremendous stress. You should really not redo the procedure a month after you just done it. It's crazy. So my teeth were super sensitive for about a year or a year and a half after that treatment, and I had to pay a big price for it. I, as an example, couldn't walk with my mouth open outdoors because the cold air just made it so painful for me. I couldn't eat certain foods anymore. I couldn't drink certain temperatures. I couldn't eat fruits because fruits were always a little bit cold and crunchy. It was really a mess. It was a mess and I was suffering. Luckily today I don't have any sensitivity left, it all went away. But I also learned another thing from this, is that I had no idea that there are two different types of crowns. So you can make them either handmade or you can make them computer generated. And that was another big lesson learned, because what happened is that they computer generated my teeth because this was a quick job. We had 7 days to produce teeth. Nobody's gonna hand make them in 7 days. So I have now a mouth with computer generated teeth, meaning that they don't look the most natural and they're just not the best, you know? And that's something I do regret, because I believe in natural when you do something cosmetic. I don't think my teeth are awful right now, but I know that they can become better. So whenever I am ready to redo them again in the future, I will do it. I know it sounds crazy. Please don't do this yourself. I've had a bad experience, and sometimes we do procedures that unfortunately don't turn out the way we anticipated, and we have to then make corrections. So I'm not proud of sharing this, ladies, with you, and unfortunate, no matter how much we level up, we're always gonna be human and make mistakes. Number 7. I don't know what is wrong with me, but I have this thing of A, forgetting, B, kind of procrastinating around putting on SPF. And I give this advice to you ladies all the time, and I also give this advice to myself all the time. Sunscreen is your best friend on an everyday basis. But unfortunately, I struggle in this department, and I oftentimes forget applying, and I also sometimes procrastinate with applying because I have combination skin, meaning that I'm prone to being oily sometimes. And I find that when I add sunblock to my face, it's just gonna be so oily, and I feel kind of greasy, and I feel like there's a thick layer going on that I don't like. And I know it's silly, because honestly the price you pay for not wearing sunscreen is greater than feeling a little bit oily. Unfortunately, the products that I use, like my moisturizer, like some of the makeup, don't have SPF in them, so I always have to apply it separately. Ladies, if you know of an SPF that is so light, it doesn't make you greasy, you don't feel like you wear anything on, please let me know in the comments. So I'm gonna share more mistakes with you in this free video called How I Went From Broke and Awkward to $1 million Life. If you go to levelupsecret.com and you register to get access to this 1 hour long video where I really go in depth on my mistakes, because I am so passionate that you learn from my mistakes, so that you can save yourself time and have a little bit of fast track in life as a result.